like to welcome you today to Better Call Sales, because today we're going to be talking about some key principles in sales and why I feel sales is so important. I guess one of the reasons why I was always so attracted to sales is because I realized how much it paralleled life. And in a lot of ways, sales is kind of a metaphor for life if you really understand what it is. And I mean, before I get into that, I should qualify that there's, of course, good sales and there's bad sales. And unfortunately, one of the reasons that when you say the word sales, we're talking about salespeople, so many people, their nose just goes up and like, kind of that gag reflex gets initiated, is because there's a lot of bad sales. Because number one, a lot of people that are in sales, they don't understand sales themselves, or they've gotten only bad examples and they're just replicating what they know about it. Okay. And I mean, one of the things when I started in sales, it bothered me because, I realized, people have this bad feeling, and I have a bad feeling, but I'm telling myself it shouldn't be this way. So I started doing research. I think I mentioned on a recent podcast, I used to read a guy named Zig Ziglar, who I think is brilliant, has just all kinds of good insight about good sales, what a good salesperson should do, and what good sales is about. So let's talk about one of those things. So first of all, in sales, what exactly are you selling? Uh, some of you might know, well, screws, nuts and bolts, ice cream, um, stocks and bonds, insurance, apps, software, whatever. Um, Goes on and on. Well, that is not a wrong answer, but let's back it up, because is that where it really starts? And I think no, it always starts at the person. And so, what is it that you're really selling? Okay, why would you expect someone to buy from you your good or your service or whatever? What is it that they need to see that they will be able to make an informed decision and say yes? Well, I think the first thing is the salesperson needs to understand, what is it that I'm doing? Who am I talking to, and how should I talk to this person? What is my job? What is my responsibility? If I want them to say yes to me and sign an order or click a button on their phone and send money, or wire funds via the bank or whatever, there are certain steps that need to happen for it to be a reasonable conclusion to the exchange of information. So basically, I'm selling myself. Okay, well, why would you want to buy from me a good or a service or whatever? And so obviously, we all need to do some soul searching. Okay, so what is good about me? What do I do well? What are my better qualities, and how do I need to focus on them and bring them clearly into the picture, so that this person can see that I have the ability to deliver, to reasonably deliver on what I'm saying. Of course, there's always some margin for error. Can't be 100% really any time. I mean, obviously, we all always want to keep going towards that goal of 100% of excellent service. But again, people can accept some slight variation, as long as they know that you're really doing your best to deliver what you said. Okay, so basically, now we need to decide, okay, what is it that I really want to do? Why? I mean, do I just want money? Um, because obviously everyone needs money. I mean, unless you live on a farm and you're growing your own food, or hunting and living out in the wild, and living off the land, living off the grid, then you don't really need money, and you don't need to do any kind of selling. I mean, because like the antelope or the moose that you shoot in the back of the head with a rifle, you don't need to persuade him. I mean, the bullet takes care of that just fine. But when it comes to people, people need to be persuaded. They need to be educated. They need to be convinced. So really, a big part of the job, I think I just nailed it with the word educate. Number one, the salesperson needs to be educated themselves. They need to go and find the information that they need to, number one, realize what it is that they need to do. What are their responsibilities? What is a reasonable expectation of a salesperson in terms of the information that they deliver? How do they deliver it? Number two, what is the reasonable expectation of the salesperson in terms of how do you qualify the person you're talking to? Or usually in sales, what they refer to as how do you qualify the prospect? For example, if I have some really great snowshoes and I'm talking to you about it, oh, Mr. Jones, so nice to meet you. We've just got the best snowshoes and they're wonderful and they're a great price and they're lightweight, made out of carbon fiber. They can get wet and it doesn't affect them. You can drop them off a 10-story building and they won't break and they'll always bounce back and they'll last for a long time. And what is that, Mr. Jones? You live in the desert? Oh, I see. So anyhow, how many would you like? Okay, well, let's back up here. There's a little problem, isn't there? Because I just found out information. I just qualified this prospect. This prospect is not in my market. Unless this person sometimes goes into a place where there's a lot of snow, maybe for recreation, maybe they have a winter home somewhere, they have absolutely no need for the product that I'm selling. And so for me to waste their time is a disservice to them and a disservice to me. And most bad sales or bad salespeople, number one, they fail at qualifying the prospect or qualifying the market. And so the thing is, had I done that, I could have saved a lot of time, not wasted this person's time, not gotten them frustrated, not me being frustrated because, I only get paid if I make a sale, so I don't get the time back. So you need to understand, qualify the prospect. Now there's a popular term now that they call TAM, TAM. So that's a total accessible market, total available market. And what that means is how big is that market that you have? So why that's important is maybe you want to look at if you're deciding to go into a business, is how big is the probable market, the likely market for the product or service that you have. Now, obviously, most people don't have unique or completely unique products. So, there's a big market. And so even a tiny little piece of a big market is something of substance. So that's another necessary step. So getting back to qualifying the prospect, what are some things that you might want to ask? It's like, okay, so Mr. Jones, do you know what we do? Do you know what my business is? And Mr. Jones says, I'm not quite sure, Mark. Why don't you explain to me a little bit? Oh, okay, sure. So basically, we make really good, innovative designed snowshoes. And, we feel they're definitely one of the best snowshoe products in the market. Is that something that you use? And Mr. Jones says, yes. Or Mr. Jones says, no, but I've thought about it, or whatever Mr. Jones says. Based on what Mr. Jones says, it'll indicate to me, do I need to continue speaking to him? Is he in my likely market? If not, I said, well, Mr. Jones, wow, I realize that this is something that you don't really have a need for right now. But I do appreciate your time. And if you do have a need in the future, please keep me in mind. And also too, if you have any friends or family that, have a need for snowshoes, let me leave a card with you or my WhatsApp contact number, and you can pass it on for me if you wouldn't mind. Oh, okay, sure. Okay, so now what have I done? Basically, I've respected his time. I've not frustrated him because I'm not just giving him a bunch of unnecessary pressure and unnecessary information for something that he doesn't need. And I'm also demonstrating that I respect him. I respect his time. I respect him. And so basically, what I've sold in this instance is me as a person that respects someone's time, and also is a type of person that doesn't like to waste people's time. And I've made a good impression. So perhaps I've planted a good seed here, and in the future, maybe a buddy of his says, "Hey, Jones, man, I got to go buy some new snowshoes. Have you ever worn snowshoes? Do anything?" But hey, you got to talk to my friend Mark. I met this guy, really nice guy. He is really an expert on these snowshoes. They've got some special price. I mean, I'm not a snowshoe guy, but from what he told me, these sound really great. So, if you like, I could give him a call or I could give you his number. What do you think? Okay. Will that definitely happen? No. But there's a much greater likelihood of that happening since you treated Mr. Jones well, you treated the prospect well, you qualified them. Now let's look at it another way. Okay, I'm selling mutual funds, or better yet, I'm selling ETFs. Okay, Actually, in my background, I did work as a financial planner so many years ago back in Arizona. And so I do have some knowledge about financial products. I'm doing some investing now in stocks and some ETFs. So obviously, that's a much bigger market, a much broader market than people needing snowshoes. So there's a much better chance of the person you're talking to would probably be in this market and would probably have some interest in purchasing a good ETF. So on that score, the same thing. You go through that qualification process, and then Mr. Jones is like, "Hey, Mark, that's something I'm interested in." Oh, okay. So is now a good time? Why did I ask that? Because the thing is, if someone's interested, and again, you want to respect their time, you need to learn to read the room. You need to learn to understand and respect people's time, because if it's something that the person's interested in, but it's not a good time, that's not a good combination. The best scenario is what? Something the person's interested in, and at the time, at a time where they have a time window where they're not pressed. Because I'll tell you what, if the guy is interested in your product, but he's got his girlfriend waiting on in front of Starbucks for him, and he's already 3 minutes late because he's talking to you, he's not going to be fully concentrating on your pitch on ETFs, is he? I mean, that's that's just the realities of life, and especially now in the cell phone days, the internet days. There's so many distractions. You've got phone going on, little messages, the banner for Messenger and WhatsApp and Twitter, popping on the screen and all this stuff. So there's people are very busy. So you really need to qualify. Okay, you qualify the item or the service that you're selling, and you also want to qualify if this is a suitable time or not. And if it is, continue. If it's not, oh, I understand. So I'll tell you what, Mr. Jones, I've got my book here. So let me ask you this: would it be better then to meet with you on Thursday at 4 or on Friday at 2:30? Now, what did I just do here? I basically asked a question in a way where there's a good possibility that I'm going to get a yes answer, because it's real easy to get a no answer. Okay. And it's not the end of the world when you get it. Nobody likes a no answer, but the reality, what is a no really? Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. People are all just petrified of no's. Oh my God, he said no. I mean, I'm going to die. No, I mean, we don't die. Tomorrow the sun always rises. The only thing certain in life is death and taxes, and they're going to come for sure. So in the meantime, we're in the game, right? And so it's like, think of it this way: in baseball, who makes it to the Hall of Fame? What were the batting averages? Look at it. If you have a lifetime average of 300, what does that mean? That means 30%. That means you only hit one out of not quite three pitches, almost three pitches, and you're awesome. You're a superstar. You're a Hall of Famer, right? If you hit 40 out of 100, wow, you're totally amazing. So the thing is the same thing in sales. I mean, you don't have to be, there each time. And keep in mind, when you get a no, where did you start at? Where did you start at in this process? No is the baseline. It's like, before I started talking to you, did you know? Okay, you're probably, many of you probably watching me for the first time. Hopefully you'll watch me again. Please hit that subscribe button and the notification button. Get that good old YouTube mojo going, all that good AI mojo going. Help me out a little bit. But basically, I'm an unknown commodity. So you're taking a chance. And the thing is, that's better than nothing already, because before this, you didn't know anything about me. So if I say, oh, can I get you to stay a minute longer? Maybe yes, maybe no. And that's another measure. Some people will continue to watch this. Some people say, okay, I've had enough. It's not my cup of tea. That's life. So the thing is, when you get a no, you didn't go back, because that's where you started. That's the baseline. But when you get that yes, and in fact, each no brings you closer to the next yes. Okay, that's just how life is. Okay, just like the baseball game. Every time you strike out, do you just throw the bat down and walk away? Okay, I'm never playing baseball again. No, you just suck it up. You tighten your belt. You get at bat another time. It's like, okay, this time I'm going to nail that sucker. And, and maybe you do, maybe you don't. But, if you don't, you're still going to come back again and you're going to be even more determined. You're going to do your homework. You're going to practice out of the park. In the sales thing, you're going to get more information. You're going to practice with friends and family because it's something you're committed to. If you know that you can do it, if you know that you're a reasonable person, a decent person, I think everyone thinks you're a decent person, but you need to know what are your skills? What makes you a decent person? If you can see the graphic for today's video, I put some things in there where, I'm reliable, I work hard, or what. I'm sure a lot of you do. And if you do, do it. I like providing service to people. I like when people feel good about something that I've done and I get paid a reasonable amount of money for having done that. To me, it's win-win. There's nothing better than that. So in this thing, that's why I say in so many ways that sales are really a metaphor for life. It's no different in life because, okay, maybe, you're not selling a product or services, but you're part of a social group. You're part of society. And so you interact with people, you talk to them. In some ways, sometimes you get help, sometimes you help them. And it feels good when you get help, and also feels good when you help someone. Okay. And so, and sometimes maybe you do someone a favor and you'll get a favor in return. Sometimes you're just paying it forward, whatever it is. But everyone's got a different value system. Everyone's got a different sense of, worth, and everyone's got a different, some people have different, have spiritual values or different spiritual values. So there's a lot of determining factors in what motivate people. Okay. But, basically, I think once you realize how sales is so much like life in itself, where number one, get in touch with yourself. Who am I? What makes me tick? What's good about me? What could be better? What do I need to work on? How do I make my strengths stronger? How do I make my weaknesses, less? What can I do about that? How do I practice? How do I, refine my skills, refine my craft? So basically, I started out in, I guess what we call direct sales, or, cold calling kind of sales. Oh my goodness. Probably it was in my college days. I had a job where I was working for a pest control company. And I had done other kinds of sales before that. Well, yeah, I guess actually I did other kind of direct sales before that, but I was part of a marketing group that represented different products, and they already had existing accounts. And yeah, I did work on developing some new accounts. So I did a little bit of that, but that had a base salary and some commission. And I think it switched over to just, all commission. And there's pressure when you're on all commission. You think, oh, what if they don't buy and I need to pay? Sure. So it's like, let that pressure motivate you. And you think, okay, you got to hustle. Okay. It's like nobody's standing out there with a fistful of money just handing it to you. If you know someone like that, hey, let me know. I'm not proud. I'll go and talk to that person and say hi and, tell them a joke and hold my hand out for a big bundle too. But I don't think we're going to be seeing them all that soon or all that often. So I think for today, we'll go ahead and end it here. I want to add one last thing. Recently, my son, who started a new job with a fairly well-known logistics company, he gave me one of their notebooks, and on the cover it says "Connecting People, Improving Lives." One of my main podcasts I've been doing on and off for years, and lately on again, is called A Connector. So I think one of the skills I have in life, one of the things I really enjoy doing, whether it be related to sales or just, in my own social network. And I don't mean online. So yeah, it could be online, but just the big social network life, right? Is I really enjoy connecting people. I really love when I find out someone has a need that I know and someone else could help, or introduce us to people for a good connection, which will enrich both of their lives. And so I like to see that in sales as well. It's not always that graphic, because obviously in business where there's money involved, not every, people aren't always that candid about sharing information or giving you praise, because a lot of times people feel, hey, I gave you an order, that's enough. I don't need to tell you, we don't need to, talk on the phone at night before you go Betty buying, or sit there and comb each other's hair, that kind of a thing. So really, I guess that's one of the reasons why I like it in life, with this quote unquote sales mentality. When I help people with something, providing them with a good, meaningful connection where there's some mutual benefit for both of them, it means a lot to me. So anyhow, I will leave you with that today. As I said before, please subscribe, hit the like button, uh, hit the notification button, all that good stuff. We will continue to do videos, YouTubes like this, and as well as some of my other things. I am here in Taiwan. I am doing business. We provide services for supply chain. We also do some service business for local companies, helping them with information for marketing and selling their products in the U.S. and Europe. So if any of these things sound like something that you might need help with, by all means, get in touch. There's contact information right there on the site. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye, or as we say in Chinese, 再见. Now, actually, that's the traditional way. Now, most Chinese people and Taiwanese people just say bye-bye. So whatever floats your boat, 再见.